We are going to look at December 2023's forecast for the planets moving in transits, okay? This is a really, really powerful time. And I'm going to break it down into all the different energies that could be affecting your chart. So, first thing is take your chart out, all right? And see how these influences are going to affect you. Now, we're going to look at, first of all, Mercury's going retrograde. Second, Pluto is in its anaretic degree, 29 degrees. It's ready to leave Capricorn and go into Aquarius. We're going to talk about that. We got a couple of things changing energies and going from one sign into another sign, calling it an ingress. All right. For those of you that don't know astrology terminology, I'm going to help you get used to some of these terms that we all throw around, so you don't have to learn everything. And then we're going to go day by day from the first all the way to the end. And I'm going to look at configurations that the planets are making in the sky, because if one thing is hitting your natal chart, then you have to understand if there is a configuration in the sky at that moment that is hitting your chart, it's not just one planet that's affecting you now. It's going to be a group of planets, and that's called a configuration. So that will be more intense and more likely to have an effect on your life, okay? And then we're going to also look at the new moon, the full moon, and Neptune in Pisces, how it's staying in one spot, 24 degrees Pisces for the whole month, 30 days. That's intense, all right? And then we have the winter solstice, okay, which happens on the 21st. That happens every year, but it's a powerful time. So get your charts ready, and we're going to dive in. So we're going to take a look at December 1st, and just so you get an idea how these planets move around. And for those of you that don't know astrology very well, you're new to this channel, I'm here for the newbies, okay? So you guys, remember, these are all symbols. Astrology is the language of symbols, okay? And these all represent the planets or the abstract points, okay? They are all symbolic of energies. Then we have the signs represented here with the different colors on the outer band, all right? These are astrological signs. That's right. Everybody has every sign in their chart, believe it or not. And then we have houses. This is the whole circle cut up into 12 pieces of the pie. All right. So just remember that what we're looking at here represents the sky on December 1st in Virginia Beach, because that's where I'm at. Excuse me. And then it shows you their motion. So watch these planets and the signs move through the houses, okay? So this is, we're going 5, 6, 7 December, going second week, third week, and we're going into the fourth week, and then we end it. So I hope you got to see how the planets move. Now we'll go backwards. The other thing that we need to understand when we look at astrology, the planets go forward and backward in the sky. That's represented by a retrograde if they're going, not really, but it's symbolic, all right? Representation of a retrograde is RX here. So we start the month with 4 planets in retrograde. Any kind of retrograde energy means that it's inward. It may not be expressed outward, or it will be expressed inward first and then express outward. So if you want to work with the energies of astrology and the planets when they're in retrograde. It's a time to review and to rethink so you don't have to redo. All right. It's to recap everything. It's a time to go inward, meditate on it. Does that make sense? So, put any comments and questions in the comment box below. And if you're liking these videos, give a thumbs up, follow, subscribe, and share the videos with everyone so they could be better educated with what goes on in astrology. Okay? So, next thing. So here we are. The first thing that we see is Mercury has just entered 0 degrees. It's called an ingress for you guys. That's a vocabulary word. Whenever a planet goes into a new sign, which is 0 degrees and 0 minutes, 14 minutes, thereabouts. And that means it's a shift of energy. So Mercury was in Sagittarius, and now it's going into heavy Capricorn. Earth is heavy. It's a lot heavier than fire. And Earth is cardinal, okay? So that means they initiate, all right? And so now Capricorn represents being serious, being disciplined, having achievements and accomplishments. It's business, it's corporations, it's government. All right. Mercury has to do with information. It has to do with data, how we think. So now we may have a more overall, the whole planet may be more in a more serious mode of thinking. But as you'll see, Mercury goes a little faster than 1 degree a day. So by the end of the month, it's already going to switch signs, but not this month because it's going to go retrograde. And we'll talk about that as we go chronologically. Okay. The retrograde is going to be on the 13th. So we have a few more days. So it already shifted energies. All right. We are in the sun sign of Sagittarius. But look here, next to Sagittarius is what? Mars. So that means energy. It means aggression. But it's in the area of Sagittarius, which has to do with the big picture, publishing, putting it out there, higher education. It has to do with values, beliefs. All right. So the thing is, when you look at your chart, your natal chart, you're going to find Mercury in Capricorn, 0 degrees. And if it's anywhere 5 degrees, give or take, so that will be between 25 degrees of a fire sign and a mutable sign, or 5 degrees, up to 5 degrees of a earth and cardinal sign, you're going to feel the effect of Mercury. That's how you do it. This difference between the 25 degrees and 5 degrees, that's called an orb. Okay. And for those of you that already know it, put the video on a high speed so you are not bored. Okay, so let's go to the 4th day of December when we have same thing going on with a shift of energy, but with a different planet. It's Venus. And Venus has left its rulership sign of Libra and gone into Scorpio, which is a water sign. It's intense, all right, and it's fixed. So I always think of a fire hose or Niagara Falls. That's fixed water. It's like, it's powerful and it's transformational because anything underneath that hard water type energy is going to be transformed. You're either going to get knocked over, because that's a, Scorpio, Pluto energy, and or it's going to, wear away at the rock underneath or the soil underneath. Okay. So Venus represents money. It represents valuables. It represents luxury items, jewelry, makeup, anything to make you pretty, perfume. It represents love, romance, beauty. Okay. So, those are all the different keywords, and there are a lot more. And the book is coming out. So we got 2 books coming out for you guys that will help you understand astrology a little bit better. And so it's in the sign of Scorpio. So it could mean anything from love, money will take on a more serious, intense approach, maybe a psychological approach, or it might have to do with the occult, dead, death. It it's very individual. So when you see Venus in your chart, 0 degrees Scorpio, look and see, is it in between your sun and Mars? Is it next to Pluto? And that's how astrologers will do a forecast for you, because we see what real-time planets are doing in your chart. Okay? Makes sense? So definitely it's a shift in what we love. So we might love the psychological stuff more now. We might like the deeper subjects now. We might like the transformational things. We might like to look at our shared resources like our stocks and our 401s. It makes sense. So that's another energy shift that you need to pay attention to. And just as a little side note, for those advanced astrology students, you see how there's angles here? There's a sextile, there's a trine, there's a biquintile, there's an opposition to Jupiter, which means there's a need to balance, you know? So when you see that, just remember, if this 0 degrees Venus in Scorpio is hitting on something in your chart, then all these other energies with Mercury, Saturn, Chiron, it looks like, no, sorry, not Chiron, your North Node, okay, and Jupiter are going to come into this formula. So it's more than just Venus. It's going to be an exaggerated Venus. It's going to have to do with your purpose. It's going to have to do with some responsibilities, and it's going to have some opportunities through what you learn or what you think. Okay? That's how you translate astrology. Pick 1 or 2 words and see how it resonates. And then you just scramble those keywords around until it makes sense to you personally. All righty? So now we're going to skip ahead to the 7th. And I hope this visual presentation helps you understand how the planets move around and how they affect you personally. So we're going to focus on Mercury is right up here. It's going to be, yeah. So Mercury is trine, which is a flow of energy. It's not anything that you work at, but it's moving right here to Black Moon Lilith. Now, Black Moon Lilith in Virgo, so we could have a lot of criticism going on. Black Moon Lilith is like the negative feminine side. It's a misunderstood side. It's the detached side of a woman or a detached energy, and sometimes it represents abuse, human trafficking, prostitution, illicit criminals, but it's also very empowering. So what Lilith means to you, it's savage, and then you'll see how it reflects on your chart. But for everyone, Mercury is trine the black moon Lilith until the 22nd, which is about 2 weeks solid. All right. So if there's any contact in your astrology signs, in charts, 6 degrees, Capricorn, and give or take 5 degrees, so that'll make it 1 to 11 degrees of earth signs and or cardinal signs, you will be influenced by this trine energy. Okay. And I hope that you're getting clear on this. All right. So, as we said before, we had 4 planets, starting with the outer planets that are retrograde. So, how do you find a retrograde planet? You look for the RX. So, it looks like we have Jupiter retrograde, and we had a couple of the planets now go direct, and Chiron retrograde. And by the end of the month, we're going to have 5 planets retrograde. So we got to keep an eye on that. And I'm going to go back to the first of the month and show you the retrogrades. All right. So we have Neptune that was retrograde. All right. In 24 degrees, and Chiron, Jupiter, and Uranus were retrograde. Now we're going to watch and see they're still retrograde on the first, still retrograde on the second, and these are all between Taurus and Pisces. Pisces, Aries, Taurus. So if you have anything in your chart, with planets in the latter degrees of Pisces all the way through Taurus, you might be feeling this retrograde energy of the outer planets, okay? And the nodes, the north node. But the nodes are usually retrograde anyhow. And so here we are, the 5th and the 6th. Now, on the 6th, Neptune goes direct. But if you pay attention very closely, Neptune in the beginning of the month is in 24 degrees. And by the end of the month, it's still in 24 degrees. That's called a station. So if Neptune is hitting something in your chart, Pisces, all right, which is a water sign and mutable sign, between 21 degrees to 29 degrees of mutable or water signs, then you're going to be feeling this Neptune energy, all right? And we're going to talk about that at the end, all right? I just want you to see how planets move retrograde and forward throughout the year. And so the further out they are, the longer the retrograde is, and the stationing and going back to direct, because they're further away and they have a slower orbit, where the personal planets are very quick. So when we forecast, we use the outer planets. All right. I hope this is making sense for everybody. So now we're going to the 7th, and we already discussed how Mercury is trine with black moon Lilith. Find that on your chart and see what's going on. All right. Now we're going to jump to the 13th, because on the 13th, we have a Mercury retrograde. But let's pay attention. Here's Mercury at 8 degrees Capricorn. All right. And we're going forward. It's still 8 degrees Capricorn, so it's stationing. All right. That means it's like a top spinning in that one spot. 8 degrees now retrograde. So it's still in the same spot. So if this is hitting your natal chart at 8 degrees Capricorn, so we're looking at earth signs and cardinal signs, give or take 5 degrees, that's an orb, you might be feeling the energy of this retrograde far stronger than others, okay? That's why retrogrades can be very nothing, no effect, or they could be something fierce. And if your Mercury retrograde, the current one, is near one of your angles, these bold lines in your chart, you're definitely going to feel it. All right. And if it's hitting planets on the angles that have a lot of aspects in your natal chart, you're going to feel it. So now we're going to move into the between the 10th and the 14th, and we're in this right now. There's going to be more involvement with this Mercury retrograde. Okay, so here's the 13th, so it's 8 degrees, but this it's also going to be in. It's going to be with a background, all right, background influence of the sun and Uranus over here in conjunct. So that means sudden, shocking information. It could mean earthquakes, Uranus and Taurus. There's a lot of different meanings. But during that day, you have to look and see, is there anything going on around 20 degrees of an earth sign or cardinal sign, or 20 degrees of a fire sign and mutable sign? Because there's an inconjunct over here. An inconjunct means there's something uncomfortable, like a stone in a shoe. You got to take the shoe off and get the stone out because it's irritating. So if the retrograde isn't irritating enough, we got the sun in conjunct Uranus, which has to do with sudden and unexpectedness, excitement. All right. It doesn't have to be bad. It's sudden, unexpected, exciting, and it's an elevation. So you're inspired. It's a higher perspective. It's freedom. All right. So it's liberating. It's also rebellion. You see all the different keywords, but put it together. And it has to do with, the Sagittarius energy of adventure, higher learning, a higher perspective. All right. Looking at the big picture, and then our money, the earth, things that we possess, anything of the earth, food, flowers, earthy stuff, the real estate. So just see how it affects your world, which is your natal chart. All right, because you might have real estate, you might have planets that are being affected. All right, so now we're going to jump ahead to well, we did jump ahead. We're going to go back to the 9th, because we have the sun over here, which is trine in Sagittarius, 17 degrees, and it's trine the north node right here in Aries, which is a fire energy, a lot of enthusiasm. All right. It's like, let's get it done. Let's have an adventure. It all is working together all the way till the to the 17th of the month. All right. So I hope you get a feel that there's a lot going on in the sky than just this Mercury retrograde. This trine energy, which is a flow of energy between the sun and the node, all right, that's going on right before and during your Mercury retrograde. There it is. All right. And it's going to continue until the 17th. Now let's look at what's happening on the 14th. So we have the retrograde going on, but it's trine retrograde Jupiter right here. So what's Jupiter? Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius. So the sun is in Sagittarius, which means we got the floodlight, the spotlight, the focus. I am, I want adventure, higher learning, justice, law enforcement. It's all that's values, beliefs, ethics. That's all Sagittarius. And then Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, which has similar meanings, and it's also expansive. This is the big picture. This is the big planet in Taurus. So there's expansion of the earth. As a side note, if you look and see what's going on, I like that earthquake apps because when I go overseas to areas where there are earthquakes, I like to have my finger on the pulse. But there are new islands now forming on the planet, with this Jupiter in Taurus. It's very interesting how that's happening. And the ring of fire, which has to do with all the volcanic and earthquake activities in the Pacific, that's all lit up. And if you haven't seen anything going on with Iceland, they're like, the whole country is changing its geography. All right. So this is under the heading of mundane astrology, but mundane astrology, which affects everybody in the whole wide world, also affects us. And when we were born with an individual purpose, which is always shown with the North Node, besides, the Pluto and everything else, but also a collective purpose, because we all came in together to do a collective mission on this planet Earth. As spirits, we took on an assignment. So when we're born, we have a cosmic fingerprint, our cosmic DNA, and it's represented in the astrology chart. So I didn't mean to digress that far in, but we're going to move now into the 18th, which gets really interesting. On the 18th, we have to the 23rd, which is about a week, we have a finger of God configuration. So that means there's inconjuncts, which is that uncomfortable feeling. You have to do something. And it's between Mars and Sagittarius, in conjunct this Uranus right here in Taurus, all right? And in conjunct the south node in Libra, right? Right here. So that is your finger of God. So we have, here's the sextile, and then it goes in conjunct to Uranus and in conjunct to Mars over here, okay? So that's going to be interesting too. And if you have any planets with 19 degrees of a Taurus or Earth sign or a fixed sign, you're probably going to feel something because of the two inconjuncts that go with it. And those energies that go with the inconjunct. So here you go, South Node inconjunct Uranus, Uranus inconjunct Mars, sextile in between. It's an opportunity to let go of the things in the past and to move forward, in the area of ethics, values, beliefs, religion, higher learning, adventure, and even international foreign travel. But this is going to be interesting. All right, guys. As we move forward, and we're halfway through the month, let's look at the big deal for Pluto, is always a big deal, which happens with this in conjunct yod, finger of God. And then we have, let's change it to 10 minutes and boom. And then we have 29 degrees. See how long it takes for Pluto to go into the next sign. Look at 29, 29, 29, because we're doing 10 minutes at a time. And finally, there it goes. On December 19th, at about 8:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Pluto goes 29 degrees Capricorn. That's energetic. It's going to be intense. There's an urgency here because Pluto is now shifting gears out of that heavy Capricorn energy, and it's going to go into Aquarius. And that's a big deal because we're now in the 2,500 year age of Aquarius, and then Pluto is going into Aquarius for about 21 years. Okay. And this is going to stay in effect until this 29 degrees, Pluto 29 degrees is going to stay there until January 20th. So look and see on your chart, between 29 and 0 degrees, look and see where you have 29 Capricorn or Earth sign or cardinal sign. Okay. And see what transformation, because Pluto's like the atomic bomb. It annihilates what you don't need, takes you down to a very low point to get rid of what you don't need. And if you've been holding on to stuff that you don't need, you will transform. The old has to go away for the new. Okay? So it's transformation. It may not be pleasant, but it's something. The more you resist, the harder it is. That's for sure. And Pluto goes retrograde every 6 months, and it stays retrograde for 6 months. So it's an interesting orbit. It's very elliptical. It's like a oval orbit. So on the 20th, and we'll just go back to a day, we go into the sun should be changing into Aquarius. Let's see here. Let's see. Boom, boom. Yeah. So the sun and Mercury are conjunct in 0 degrees Capricorn, not Aquarius yet. All right. And Mars in Sagittarius, if it's right here, is square Neptune in Pisces. So that's going to be some interesting energy. All right. Neptune in Pisces is escape, it's confusion, it's being in a fog, spirituality, it's film, it's dance, whatever it means to you. It's drug addiction because it's escapism. And then Mars, of course, has to do with action. It could be aggressive, it could be blunt, it could be like a weapon. Okay. And then Mercury will be conjunct Mars as well. So you see, and now they're all three together in conjunction right here, the Sun, Mercury, and Mars. So that's an interesting energy for that day. It doesn't last very long. And so let's look and see now. The solstice is on the 21st, and all that means is that the sun goes in, because it was right around midnight that it happens. So the sun goes into Capricorn, which is the winter solstice. All right. And then Venus goes into, it's going to go into, let me see here, then we're going to go into the new moon and that's going to be at 20 on the 9, let me see here, new moon, 20 degrees Sagittarius. So let's look at the moon. 20 degrees Sagittarius. There it is. So that's around the 12th, okay? And that's when they're conjunct. The new moon is when the sun and the moon are together in the sky, all right? And then on the 26th of the month, we have the full moon in Cancer, all right? Here it is. So here's the sun, there's the moon, and they're opposite one another. So there's always an opposition. It's a need to balance your emotions with and feelings with who you are. And that takes front row center. And that's where you find the Capricorn and the Cancer, which are cardinal signs. You look for 4 and 5 degrees, 6 degrees of cardinal signs and earth and water signs in your chart, because the moon and the sun will be affecting anything in your chart that is in those degrees, if that makes sense. If you have any questions, comment below. I will get an email and I will address them as soon as possible. However, I'm on TikTok every day. I put out little tiny bits and pieces. And then about once a month, I go on YouTube and try to give you my insights on astrology. So remember, astrology forecasting is not prediction. I say the word prediction because that's what everybody else calls it. But honestly, they're influences. And these are all energies. There's nothing that says something is going to happen. Now, you may feel the influence where you have to take action, but that does not mean that the cosmic planets are making something happen. They may influence you like vibrationally to actually take the free will to do something. But they're frequencies. It's like when you hold a crystal in your hand, that's a frequency that you're getting. It's an energy that you're getting. All right. And the more in tune you are to all the energies around you, the more you're able to work with those energies. So you're going to say, well, is that a bad energy or is that a good energy? It's up to you how you handle the energy. Are you going to be reactive or are you going to be proactive? Hopefully, after hearing all this information, you're going to take the proactive free will approach. Sometimes there are some Vedic astrologers that tell you this is what's going to happen. This is who you are. And so people come to me and they go, yeah, this one told me this and this one told me that. And so they put all the power, their own personal power, in other people's hands. And if I had told them, yeah, this is going to happen and this is how you are, then they would believe me, instead of saying, well, wait, look in the mirror and see, am I like this? Am I not like that? Yeah, I am. This is self-discovery. I'm a little introspective. I'm not extroverted. How can I be more extroverted? And so that's the beauty of astrology. You look at this chart and you go, I don't have to be this way. I don't have to be a victim. I don't have to be a people pleaser. I'm learning my lesson. I'm switching gears, because as the planets circle around and around and around in time, you grow and become a different person. So your Neptune could have been, I'm a drug abuser And then you change into a very spiritual person that doesn't do drugs at all. And if you notice, those 12-step programs are spiritual. But so in the drugs, they're together. That's all represented by Neptune. And if you take a deep look, what are they doing? People that are on drugs, drinking alcohol, it's because they want to escape. There's probably a deep pain involved. Okay. And Chiron also represents pain, suffering, healing. And a lot of people with strong Chiron in their chart and Pluto and Neptune and things like that with Pisces and Scorpio, they could be tremendous healers. Okay? So this is the beauty of astrology, and we took care of the moon. Now we're going to look at Neptune in the chart till the end of the year, and you notice it stayed pretty much in 24 degrees. It moved. So I lied. It wasn't the whole month. It was till Christmas, 25 plus days, because it was in 24 degrees the last month too. So that's a very powerful point. You want to look and see, do you have planets in your chart or points, angles that are around 24 degrees of a mutable sign or a water sign? And let me know what you're feeling, because it's not about me telling you that you're going to feel like you want to start drinking heavily, or you might want to just start praying every day, or you just want to be charitable, because this also has to do with being selfless and charitable, getting involved with nonprofit organizations. It's any one of those energies. So how you use the Neptune in your chart, because it's stronger, because it's in its ruling sign, is very individual. All right. So let us all know what it means to you. And I thank you for being with me. I did not identify myself, but you'll see it in the, I'm Ev Zervoudakis, and I'm the founder of Holistic Healing Astrology. If you all want a reading with me, just go onto the website. All that information should be in the description below. And I look forward to seeing you again at least once a month. And if you want to see me every day, go on TikTok, Holistic Healing Astrology. I have an Instagram page, Holistic Healing Astrology, a Facebook page, Holistic Healing Astrology. So we pretty much covered everything. Keep in touch, and God bless you. Stay positive. Bye-bye, folks. Appreciate you.